But I'll tell you one thing. Jahmyr Gibbs. And I've seen conversation about this. I've seen from both angles. And I can't lie to you. And I'll be honest, because I had to sleep on this one. Watching the football game, it's not about how much they used him. It's how they used him. That maybe I was sitting there watching the game, and I'm thinking, man, like, just running in between the tackles. Like, get this man in space. And they tried to. It didn't work out. And it's, some things he's not going to pop every single time. You see the explosive ability. And he had some third down conversions. He was clutch. He showed up when they needed him to. And David Montgomery, his style of running was much needed in that football game. He wore the Packers down, 30 carries. It seems like David got better as the game went on. But by Jahmyr, though, and again, the Lions don't necessarily need him yet, and that's the other part of this, too, is I'm going to be patient with this. But I want to bring up this stat because I thought it was super interesting, and shout out to Danny Bennett, at RealDannyB, for tweeting this out. He says, carries through 4 games of their rookie year. Bijan Robinson, 39. Christian McCaffrey, 31. Alvin Kamara, 15. Jahmyr Gibbs has 31. Jahmyr Gibbs has as many carries through his rookie year than Christian McCaffrey did. Carries. Now, I'd have to check the catches on that, but regardless, we're talking about carries. He has the same amount of carries as Christian, about 8 less than Bijan Robinson. So, again, as an RB2, as somebody that he's kind of a change of pace back right now, and they're not trying to, run him into the ground right now. So, David Montgomery's the RB1, the guy, the bruiser, the guy. It's kind of like Jamal and Swift last year. That's essentially the roles they're playing. David might mess around and break Jamal's record, on this pace. You're getting 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Who knows? But to kind of talk about Jahmyr, I'm not worried about it as of right now. Do I want to see your 12th overall pick go out there and explode and be utilized more? Yes, but they don't need him. And they're winning games with how they're using him now. So I'm not going to sit up here and complain. I think as time goes on, you're going to see more of Jahmyr in the passing game. That's more where I'm looking for. Like 8 yards, 8 rushes for 40 yards. Like, yeah, that's solid. He had some third down conversions. He has some big plays. That's fine. But I do think that the receiving side of things, you can be more creative with Gibbs. There's a couple plays there where he was wide open, and I think it was on the pick actually golf through. Jahmyr was actually in the flat, wide open. But those things happen. Right? As time goes on, I think he's going to be involved more. Like, get the guy the ball in space, especially in the passing game. But right now, Sam Flannel, just to kind of speak to all the people that are like, man, Jahmyr, like, why even draft him? I'm not going to say that through 4 games. It's clear they're easing him along, but still, you see the talent. And I get why people want to see more, but I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet. I think I need a bigger sample size to start doing that, Sam Flannel. And I had to sleep on that. I did.
All right. Well, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I know it's Victory Monday and Victory Friday, and Victory Friday certainly cures a lot of ills because the Lions won that game. They won it in dominating fashion, and I don't want to bring up anything that I'm necessarily worried about or anything like that because they're still winning and their offense is looking very, very good. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I wouldn't say that I'm worried. I would just say that I'm one of those people that are kind of like, should you have taken him at 12? I know it's all good. It's all good. The Lions are a 3-1 team, and Jahmyr Gibbs has looked okay when he's gotten opportunities. I mean, in the last game, he had 17 carries for 80 yards as the number 1 option. But then when you get David Montgomery back, and I understand that David Montgomery played a hell of a game, particularly just kind of wearing the defense down at the end and getting 3 rushing touchdowns while carrying the ball 32 times coming off of injury. That is 100%
That's
insane.
Impressive.
But I will say this. Jahmyr Gibbs carried it 8 times, and a lot of those carries were between the tackles. And he averaged 5 yards a carry, 8 carries for 40 yards.
Yeah, he's averaging, 4.6 on the year compared to David Montgomery's 3.8. So he's the more explosive back as advertised.
Sure, and when he's gotten opportunities to carry the football, except for the Seattle game, he has looked pretty good. This stat line actually is eerily similar to the one he had at Kansas City, where he had 7 carries for 42 yards. But as the number 12 overall pick, I know David Montgomery was the workhorse, and he had a hell of a game, but I'm still kind of like, you really only got a fourth the carries of David Montgomery. Maybe the game called for it. Maybe the game dictated it, and they did win, so I'm not going to complain too much. But still, I'm a little worried about Jahmyr Gibbs. And you know where else I'm worried about Jahmyr Gibbs? And I'm going to pull a little bit of a Neil Rule. I keep hearing about how they're going to utilize him in the passing game, but I never see it. This season, he has 14 receptions for 70 yards. Some of those passes that they're throwing to him, it's like they're not getting him in space. I know one of them, he was tackled for a loss. It's just these little short throws where it's like there's nothing really that Jahmyr Gibbs can do. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, because if you had to talk about like the critique there, I guess with Jahmyr Gibbs, is you want to bring up the passing game. That's fair. Like for Jahmyr, he has 5 yards per catch, like in totality, because some of those were blown up.
Yeah.
I get that. Like he's more talented than that, but again, it is 4 games. I'm willing to give him some more time there. I don't have a problem with using David as much as they did yesterday, and the more I thought about it, it's what the game called for. Like they used David Montgomery, and that's the physical style of running that David does, I think just broke the Packers defensive line. Like he wore them out.